Welcome to Focused Fire Chat. Explore together.
Welcome back for the 14th installment of our Extra Lore series, recorded live on May 3rd, 2017 on twitch.tv. Big shout out to the live chat here. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. Our topic for this chat is going to be an exploration of Dungeons and Dragons, or to be more specific, the Forgotten Realms. This is your host, Blue Crew 86. Alongside me, we have the man who has started to really question the level of self-awareness of our bot collection, Justin Sane 0516. Justin, what are your thoughts on the topic tonight?
California. Sorry, Blue. I couldn't hear you. Just get ready for a trip that's coming up. Wait, what? We're doing a podcast? Okay. So, yeah. My thoughts on this topic is that I thought when I looked at Blue's show notes, I was like, wow, this is really bare bones. I don't think there's a lot here. How do people play this for 20 hours at a time? And then Green said, oh, you silly little fool. Click on the mind map. And I was literally like, and then I looked at the mind map. So I'm really looking forward to learning some things about some stuff. And also there's bits. So it's all good tonight.
People will need to stick around. I probably will put that on the after show. your understanding of that. All right, well, Mel is working while we're here playing around, so be sure to let her know we miss her over on Twitter at The Wind of the Stars. And we also have our resident Gunter extraordinaire, Green Eye Music Lover. Green, hope you're ready for the shenanigans. What are your thoughts on the topic tonight?
I'm actually kind of in the same boat with Justin tonight. I've DM'd, I've played a little bit, but I have not read much of the lore or the books in it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn some stuff. It's going to be cool. Open the mind map and went, holy moly, I can't even zoom out far enough to make this whole thing fit on the page.
It's
and
not
still
that bad.
see what's on it.
It's not that bad.
It really is. It really,
First of all,
really
Blue,
is.
if anyone ever says it's not that bad, it is that bad.
It's funny, Blue, because all I can think while they're saying this is like, I wonder what it would look like if we made one of Planescape.
I know. I'm like, this is literally the bare bones of the era of upheaval.
I mean,
but the good news about the mind map is I do recognize like 4 words on it. So,
Yay!
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me see if I recognize the same ones. Mind map. Dungeons and Dragons.
That's 5.
Man.
You fail.
I'm good. Good.
Well,
Critical fumble.
Of course, for these topics, we always want to make sure we have someone who is well-versed in the lore. So with that being said, I want to welcome back Damoel. Damo, how is everything going for you tonight? And can you
Fantastic.
let us know where people can find you and what got you into the Forgotten Realms series?
At Damoel on Twitter is probably the best place to get a hold of me. And I got into Forgotten Realms way back in the AD&D era. I picked up one of the Ed Greenwood books called Spellfire, and I was just completely blown away. And I eventually found the big box set that most people have probably seen and fell in love.
Nice. So you got in with the THAC0.
Oh, yes. So much that.
My. Wait, isn't that like first edition?
No,
Second.
it was second.
Or is that AD&D?
Yeah, it was AD&D.
No, AD&D is slightly different too, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have you explain that to me because I've heard like multiple explanations of it, but I still don't get it.
What,
We can do that in
THAC0?
the after show.
Yeah.
It's super bizarrely complicated for no
It really is. Spins and check. THAC0 teaches math. It's when your teacher
it actually teaches the math you'll never use.
Yeah. When your teacher told you that you'd use calculus in real life, they were talking about THAC0.
What?
So,
Weird.
well, real quick before we get completely off topic, let's jump through the intro, and then we will jump into Forgotten Realms. Before we start off the chat, however, I do have a few housekeeping notes. In our last Extra Lore episode, we discussed the Portal series. If you missed that and have any interest in hearing our thoughts, please be sure to check out www.focusfirechat for archives of all previous chats, as well as links to all our various other pages. If you don't mind, please give us some feedback on iTunes to let us know how we're doing and to help us continue to grow. As many of you already know, Focus Fire Chat is a cross-community gathering where the intent is to offer a week-long, in-depth view of a particular subject from within the lore of Destiny and other games. With the Extra Lore series, we delve into a game series other than Destiny for a full month, giving the group a chance to get a feel for the other games that our community loves to play. We try to stream a recap of this month-long conversation in the first week of each month. Please be sure to also give some support to the other podcasts in the Guardian Radio Network found at theguardiansofdestiny.com. These include Guardian Radio, the official podcast for the Guardians of Destiny, Guardian 1, Ghosts and Echoes, which also has the Destiny audio grimoire, and the network's newest edition, a non-Destiny podcast, Paragon Radio. Our next Extra Lore is going to be a discussion on Titanfall, so be sure to jump into the Discord server and weigh in. With that, Damoel, would you kindly start us off with a general summary of the information that we have about the Forgotten Realms?
Well, Forgotten Realms, I think, is one of the more expansive parts of D&D, though it's not their mainline product. Similar to Dragonlance, it was created by a single guy, Ed Greenwood, originally as a campaign setting for players, and then he wrote a bunch of novels. And I think that's a good place to start, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, to kind of give some, I guess, breaking fourth wall history, though Forgotten Realms is really kind of weird because it's not really breaking the fourth wall when you talk about the creation of it.
Yeah.
Because, like, so it's a really actually kind of fascinating concept. Greenwood, so it was created by a game designer whose name is Ed Greenwood, and it was actually created back in about 1967 as a setting for some childhood stories that he was actually kind of writing. And then it actually, like several years later, he was brought into and kind of was introduced to D&D, as a series of magazine articles was kind of how the Forgotten Realms and Greenwood and D&D kind of got meshed up together. And the first Realms products were actually not released until 1987. So, I mean, 20 years after the Forgotten Realms were kind of conceived of, they were actually translated into D&D. And the description of Forgotten Realms is, I'm just going to read the quote here. It's a world of strange lands, dangerous creatures, and mighty deities, where magic and supernatural phenomena are quite real. The premise is that long ago, the Earth and the world of the Forgotten Realms were more closely connected. As time passed, the inhabitants of planet Earth have mostly forgotten about the existence of that other world, hence the term Forgotten Realms. On the original Forgotten Realms logo, which was used until 2000, small runic letters read, "Herein lie the lost lands," which was an allusion to the connection between the two worlds. So, and that's the end of the quote. But that's what I mean, is like there is this weird kind of like twisting of a meta fourth wall breaking aspect of Forgotten Realms, in that Greenwood actually presented it as a parallel. It's not really a parallel, but it was like another plane of existence that was neighboring our own. And like that, like I was saying there, that's where the name came from. Yeah, in chat they're talking about Dragon magazine. So Green, I know you have something.
Right, I do have something. So so what I do remember of the Forgotten Realms is that the world, that a lot of the gods and stuff were borrowed into the Forgotten Realms from our own world. So you could, if you wanted to, you could have Ra in the Forgotten Realms universe, even though they have their own set of gods, which are completely different than what we're used to.
Yeah,
you could use other gods.
Right. Their deities were you had multiple pantheons, really. so I mean, and then even within those pantheons themselves, you have usually what's called tiers, or well, I guess I don't even know. Yeah, different criteria, and these were cut on a number of different criteria. Actually, you had deities by alignment, deities by domain, which was kind of akin to a portfolio, and then power level. So alignment, most people who are somewhat cognizant of D&D would be familiar with the alignment chart. You have 9 basic alignments ranging from, and it's kind of like on an axis of lawful and chaotic, and then good and evil. So you have lawful good, lawful neutral, lawful evil, and then you have neutral good, true neutral, neutral evil, and then you have chaotic good, chaotic neutral, and chaotic evil. And that kind of covers the gradient of that individual's personality, or even that deity's personality. The domains, I'm not even going to try to list all the domains, because there's tons. Basically, if it's in reality, or actually if it exists, it's a domain, kind of. And then the powers, you usually so like the main power ranking is I think it's greater, intermediate, lesser, and then demi power, which is basically like a demigod. But these are all believed to come from, Damoel, correct me here, but they all come from Ao, right? The overgod.
Yeah.
So he's kind of the unmoved mover, I guess, of the Forgotten Realms universe. And so every pantheon comes from him ultimately, but and he actually does get involved, especially later in the series, which I think we might touch on real quick. But Damoel, I know you said you got started with it back with what was it, Spell Plague?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was what it was called.
Let's see. Yeah, I think. Well, Spell Plague was Era of Upheaval. Sorry, that was it. That was
no, yeah.
Trying to remember.
I had the name of it a minute ago.
It wasn't Shadowdale, was it?
Spellfire.
Spellfire. Okay. So you wanna run us through the kind of a summary of? Do you remember the summary of the first edition? I guess.
Like the original Forgotten Realms box set. It was sort of unformed at that point, which was actually what I liked most about it, is that that was the point in its history where like there wasn't no real big events had happened. So it was just this big, huge, wide open world with these little pockets of ideas. Like you could do anything you wanted within Farron. Because they had basically every fantasy trope and fantasy culture somewhere on that spinning ball of mud. So that was the cool thing about that era. It was just wide open.
And it was interesting too for me, like when I was looking at like the overarching timeline of Forgotten Realms, like we get introduced to, well, from a D&D perspective, you kind of get introduced to the Forgotten Realms in 87, which was kind of the first edition of D&D, which was it was like Damoel was saying, it's pretty open. There was not a lot to do. Like compared to the game that we have today with a 5th edition, it was not a game really. And so then there wasn't like a lot of things to do as far as structure. It was more about the story and more about the imagination, which was really kind of what led to the wild success that it was. And then you get the 2nd edition, which was, I think it was in 93. So we jumped from 87 to 93, and that's the 2nd edition. And then we get Advanced Dungeons and Dragons in 90. Was it 93 that AD&D came out, or was it 96 that AD?
I think it was 93.
Okay. And that was where we actually started to get that's where you started to get a really fleshed out presentation of Forgotten Realms. And when I mean fleshed out, I mean compared to what it was. You don't really see the explosion of material for Forgotten Realms until you get to the 3rd edition, which is, well, different people have different feelings about 3.0. But you get, and I think D&D officially took on Forgotten Realms as their official primary world in 3.0.
I think because that was when they finally stopped trying to make it Greyhawk, which nobody even knows about.
Great.
That's not true. I saw Greyhawk mentioned in chat. Yeah, someone knows.
Pins knows.
Pins. Forgotten Realms was, I think, technically it was after Greyhawk.
It came out after Greyhawk, but they were definitely still both supported heavily in 2nd edition.
Right.
And I think they even made a push at Greyhawk once during 3rd, if I'm not wrong.
They did. And I have that book, and I'll be honest, I never opened it.
I have no problems with Greyhawk. I adore Greyhawk, but like nobody knows about it. Like you can go to like RPGA part areas, and like people are like, never heard of it.
It was. So what was that, Justin?
No, I was going to ask a quick question. So I'm just trying to catch up here. You might have already said this, and I might be way behind here. So the Forgotten Realms were created by AO. AO spawned the 2 deities, the darkness and the light, which the darkness was Shar and the light was, what's the name?
Sharon or something like that. It has a U in it.
Sounds right. So it must be right. Okay.
No, it's not.
And then
I don't think it's right.
it's like the D&D it's like the D&D equivalent of the Big Bang Theory almost, but instead of coming out of it, you got all these worlds of life. You got 2 polarized deities, one for darkness, one for life, and then one for light, and then everything kind of sprung from there.
But I'm gonna stop you, and I'm gonna blow your mind. Even though there was a deity for darkness and one for light, there was no sun.
Yeah, and I actually can kind of get with that a little bit. It kind of makes a little bit of sense, because, well, I'll let you guys.
Okay,
don't keep riffing. I just wanted to understand that, like, the D&D Forgotten Realms world has somewhat of a Big Bang event instigated by AO.
Kind of.
In a part of the thing we'll talk about later, it actually comes to be known that AO is just another like aspect of his own pantheon. Like, there's gods all the way up. So like even though AO is like the big king kahuna of the gods, he's just another cog in a bigger machine too.
It's like the Men in Black thing with the aliens playing marbles with the universes.
Yeah, basically.
That's actually a thing, isn't it?
It's a
Greyhawk.
It's definitely in Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, it is in Forgotten
I'm
Realms.
Not as familiar with the cosmology of Greyhawk. But
that's one of the things that Spelf Plague completely screwed up was the cosmology. But yeah, Justin, to really quick go back, Lord AO did create Faerun.
Oh, he was a lord. Was there an E? Or was it E-less?
Technically, he created Abertoril, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was straight up E-less lord.
So Toril Abertoril is the planetoid upon which Faerun exists.
Which suspiciously looks like Earth.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, and there's a reason for that as well. It was pretty well thought out. Like the story of why the similarities kind of exist between the worlds was actually pretty well thought out, and it was because, again, remember, Forgotten Realms used the planet. Damoel, isn't that right? Abertoril was was it kind of like a neighboring mirror of Earth?
Yeah,
and then it drifted away and was forgotten. and hence the name Forgotten Realms. But that's also where you get the concept of the very similar structure to Earth for the planet Abir Toril. And Abir
Toril.
I don't know. Anyway,
I think I said it right.
Anyways, that's the planet upon one of the continents is Faerun. And Faerun as a continent is actually pretty much a supercontinent. Like, it's massive. And there are other continents. I think I have them listed out on the mind map real quick. Because we have Faerun, and then there's just real quick, there's Zakhara, Karatur. There's a place actually. Well, we'll get to that in just a second. It was Mastica originally, but then it was something like there was something that happened in Spell Plague, and that destroyed it. And then Ankarom, Katashaka, and then I think it's Asa. Is it Asa or Aussie?
I never really figured that out.
Aussie.
Oh God. Basically what happened with Mazatec, and this is kind of in line with what happened with Toril and Earth. Abir Toril was the original planet. And then at a certain point, they got separated. They literally got ripped apart. And this was, I think, was that part of the Spell Plague? Am I remember that correctly? Or was the spell, because the second Sundering was the returning of them. But the two planets got actually ripped apart. And then AO as part of, and this was an event that they actually used to explain the change from 4th edition D&D or the second Sundering was the 4th edition to 5th edition D&D. Every edition change has brought about, some pretty significant rule changes, obviously. And the way that they actually continue the story within the game is they explain this by basically really big cataclysmic, almost apocalypse-like events, in which gods are dethroned, and Damoel will probably go off on a little bit on that one. There's an entire era that's the time of troubles, or not an era, but there is a segment of the era of upheaval.
It was kind of an era.
It was
a short one, but it was an era.
Big mess. But there's and that's how they explain the progression from like 2nd edition to 3rd edition. 3rd edition to 4th edition was, I think 3rd edition to 4th edition was the Spell Plague.
It was.
And then 4th edition to 5th edition is what's known as the second Sundering, which is when basically AO was like, okay, you guys, we're done. We're going to smash everything back together and chat,
Okay.
rip mask.
I always wondered if Ed Greenwood or whoever's in charge of all of this was a DC fan, because it really mirrors the Crises.
Oh, yeah. Actually, now that you say that it really does. But anyway, so Abir Toril were separated, and then when they were merged back together, there was actually a continent that got metaphysically smashed on top of another continent and replaced it. And so now in the 5th edition Forgotten Realms, you actually have displaced individuals from another planet living on this new planet, and it's actually a big issue with them. So, but in regards to the comment about it being similar, that's kind of what happened with Toril and Earth. They weren't as violently separated, but they were kind of mirrors of one another. I'm sure that didn't answer anything, but
all right.
I feel like that's how this whole thing's gonna go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to do some directing questions a little bit. I know that 4th edition was the appearance of the Dragonborn race. Is every kind of new appearance of new races and everything explained in the story? Because that one came out of the blue for me. I know gnomes.
When you say
another
Dragonborn,
one.
What do you mean? Because I mean we had half dragons.
Right, but there wasn't a playable race until 4th edition.
You could play them in 3.5.
Okay, 3.5 you could do anything.
I know.
That's the whole point of 3.5.
That's what I loved about 3.5.
And we forgive you for liking 3.5.
As somebody who when I got into D&D, oh my god, when I got into
I still remember going to an RPG event, sitting down at a table, expecting to have some fun, and like this level 7 character was critting twice a turn on a 11 up, and I was just like, I just kind of like grabbed my character sheet and my beer, got up and left.
It's like, I'm done.
It's too easy to break it. Yeah, no. Okay.
Or like everybody's favorite party member, the barbarian class that had to eat magic to continue going. Like they literally had to eat magic items, so the class was designed basically to ruin the game for everybody else in your party because you were this magic hating, super berserking barbarian, and like you'd find a cache of swords and you'd be like, "Sweet, we're all armed now." And Angry Larry in the back's like, "We're what? That's dinner for me." And the party's like, "But we could use these," and he's like, "No, I got it. I got to eat these guys." And if you said no, he just raged down and killed you and took them anyway.
Oh my goodness. Why would they make that a mechanic? That sounds awful.
Because magic got really powerful really fast.
No, I think it was intended to be. So I think that's one of those things where somebody looked at it from just a flavor perspective, and they're like, this is going to be really cool. And then a group of rules lawyers got their hands on it. And it was like, this is an awful idea.
I mean, I get the idea of wanting it to have a flaw within the character, but that's not a flaw within the character. That's a flaw within the party.
Yeah,
it doesn't make a party.
That's like making like Death Race 3000 the game, and then like having the negotiator class or something. Like that dude over there is ruining everything for everybody. Why is this in the game?
Oh my. Bjorn, yep, that was the thing. So yeah, I guess then yes, there's always been an explanation. Whenever they add a new thing, they usually have at least like a token effort to explain where the thing came from.
And it should be noted, much of the races actually ended up being exported into other things because they came about in fact. Yeah,
like the Drow.
The Drow, the Tieflings.
Yep.
Goliaths were started there too. Or were those Eberron?
I can't. That might be Eberron. Those might be Eberron.
Okay, so why are there were Eladrin?
Yes.
And High Elves?
Yes.
Okay, and then there's like the Drow.
And the Drow. And Moon Elves.
So
Moon Elves.
Oh, Moon Elves were so
Moon
cool.
Elf?
Moon Elves were awesome.
A Moon Elf?
Yeah.
The Moon Swords?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, boy.
But you gotta help me out here, guys. Gotta help me out here. Is it an elf that draws its power from the moon, or is this an elf from the moon? Because I really want this to be an elf
Actually,
from the moon.
You're looking for Dragonlance, my friend.
Dragonlance.
Because that is literally a thing. There are elves.
See you guys. See you guys in an hour. See you guys in an hour.
Oh man, yeah, Moon Elves were. Oh god, I just remember Moon Elves because of the
that whole original book trilogy was freaking awesome.
Yeah, was that the?
I do not remember the name of it.
Was that the one with the werewolf?
Yes.
Okay. The tap. No. Oh god, no! I remember. He was an actor, but he was like a noble. And he got bitten by a werewolf. Yeah. And then what's his face he showed back up in your favorite Drow's story too.
Oh, Drist. I know
That's
that
not
one.
My favorite Drow.
I know that one. I know that one because they made a board game out of it.
They made everything out of it.
They made whole computer games out of it.
So I'm a little confused And
Okay.
this is just something y'all are going to have to get used to tonight.
We are.
Okay, so all right. I'll let that one slide. I was a little on the harsh side there, Damo, but that's your personality. So, no. Okay, so we have the whole the creation event happens, and then it kind of helps to seed life in. Can it help me? Toriel?
Yeah.
Which is pretty much an Earth model. When we're talking about realms within this cosmological model, are they separate worlds, or are we talking about different planes, or are we talking
Both.
about geographical places on the same planetoid?
Yes.
I mean, the answer.
I feel like you think you answered me, Damo, but I feel like you didn't.
But there's multiple ways to get to different planes or
Right.
different realms.
But what he's asking is there all of these things? And or when we say worlds, we could be referring to any of those.
Right?
Okay, but do they all exist within the same temporal space?
Not at the same.
The
plane.
realm.
Well, no, because there's planes. Well, planes are sort of neighboring things, so they don't exist in the same space.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, are there different planets on the same plane?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to get.
Spelljammer says yes.
Okay, good. Is that like
Spelljammer was their sci fantasy setting, so you actually had like magic spaceships, and
It was so confusing.
Oh, cool.
it was so good though.
Like the magic school bus?
Well, think more like space age piracy, like magical piracy, basically, is what that system was. You flew space boats around and pirated off of other space boats.
Yeah, it's like Firefly
So you-
with magic.
Fallen.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was pretty fantastic. Blues,
That doesn't
right,
sound like
was very
something Mal would
confusing,
like.
and we ignored an awful lot of the rules for that one. That like different supplements had different amounts of like real rules interaction, and just sort of, this is a cool idea, so we're going to take what we like. Spelljammer was pretty high up there. Their Kingdom Simulator one was probably the highest, because
Also, it kind of sounds like a Walkman for wizards, right?
I'm not going to engage. I'm not
going to engage. So yeah, Justin, back to the seeding process. So what happened was Toriel got created, and then there were basically this kind of argument back and forth here, but there's anywhere from 5 to 6 what's called creator races. You basically had the Saruk, the Fae, the Batarachi, the Ari, and then humans. And then arguably dragons were in there, but it depends on which version of the game you're going with on that one. But each of the creator races at one point in time really actually came into power and really controlled and forged their own empire. The notable one here is the Fae, which actually arguably still has an empire, because they actually existed in the Feywild, which is not in the same, wasn't in the same space as Toriel. But the others did. And so currently, in current game time, the humans are now kind of the powerhouse of the creator races. But so those were the original. Every species basically in the Forgotten Realms universe in some way kind of comes from the creator races. Either comes from the creator races or one of the deities themselves. Because you have
weren't humans actually kind of ported over from the real world?
Yes. Humans were brought in from Earth, basically.
Okay. And there's the Feywild, but the Feywild is broken up into different parts or the Fae. Isn't there like an Underdark version? And
Yeah, there's the Seelie and the Unseelie, I think. Damo, is that? Do you know the
Yep.
Feywild? I think it's.
Yeah,
so it's similar to the actual.
It mirrors
actual
our
lore.
our world's Fae. That's
Yeah.
the intention. Is that it's the explanation of that.
Because there's Oberon and Titiana and all the named
And
figures that you
normals.
probably know from like
Mhm.
different works in our world. There are technically NPCs in the Feywild that reflect them. But yeah, part of the second sundering and breaking that happened with the spell plague actually wrenched the Feywild, I think, into the same reality as Toril. So now they're kind of, hey, we're here. So it's no longer that they're able to hide as easily as they used to. If I remember right, in 5th edition, they're much more prevalent in there.
Do we want to go over some of the more, I guess, common gods within the realms?
We could. What I was gonna actually talk about a little bit was the concept of classes for anyone who hasn't,
Yay.
who maybe haven't, if you haven't ever played a role playing game, really.
Yeah,
Hunter is the
let's do it.
best.
Wrong. I have my book.
Oh
I
my
am ready
god,
for
this is gonna get Damo. Depending on which side of the spectrum you align with, this could get interesting.
First of all, is there a hunter?
Kind of.
Kind
Ranger.
of.
Ranger.
What's his
I
name?
guess.
What's he called? Ranger?
Well, but I mean,
I like it. My favorite baseball team, Rangers.
But
Hunters.
it depends on what
I
you
like it.
what you align with a hunter. Because I mean, like a rogue could technically be a hunter.
Well, I
That's
mean,
true.
so could fighter, but if you're looking for something that sort of
I see. What
is
you're
the
saying.
closest,
Yeah,
like
kind of.
Mhm.
I hate rangers.
Why?
I've never
Two
liked
wielders.
I've never liked the weird. I like everything about Rangers except the weird nature magic they always tack on. I always feel like it's just
Yeah.
My understanding
feels
was they were
bad.
always meant to be like the equivalent of a paladin for the druid cleric.
kind of, yeah.
But okay, so real quick, base classes. We'll just stick with base classes because I'm not going into the Oriental Adventures or the Unearthed Arcana because it just gets really weird. Base classes generally, your traditional fighters, which are usually paladins and rangers, and then fighter. Then you have the ever famous bard. Everyone loves their bards. I know Damo probably has strong feelings about bards. I don't know many people who don't have strong feelings about bards. And then you have your clerics and your druids, which are kind of similar there. And then you have monks, and then you have a thief, which is often called a rogue. And then your your predominant magic users are generally going to be called wizards or sorcerers. I think in 5th edition, it's warlocks, but warlocks or sorcerers.
Edition too.
Is it 4th edition
Nope.
too?
There's sorcerers and warlocks.
Right.
Both.
I'm sorry, but they replaced the wizards with warlocks.
No, wizards are
No.
still there.
I'm
too.
not a magic user,
Warlocks
so I don't.
are they're not control anymore. They're more of kind of the attack.
Oh, so
Pushy.
are they a third magic user class that got introduced? Basically.
In 4th edition, they were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't play magic users. They're I play rogues who use magic, but I don't have to pay all
Did
the
you-
prices.
Did you mention warlords?
No, because I don't see, and that's the thing is like, I really predominantly played 3.5. I just recently started playing 5e. So I'm not really familiar with the 4th and 5th edition base classes as much as I'm very familiar with 3.5 base classes.
Okay. Yeah, warlord is like a fighter. It's like a paladin version of a fighter.
Okay, so it's just the more militant paladin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, well, just to run through them real fast, a bard is your singer. So they're basically support classes, and that's kind of all they do. They annoy the living crap out of everybody.
They're the mouthpiece.
Oh my gosh, bards. And then you have clerics, which are kind of, I mean, they're kind of priests. That's kind of what they are in the game. But they're also very, very militant. They're usually able to take care of themselves. A cleric is, and then to kind of take a step to the side just real quick, there's two broad types of magic. There's a type of magic called arcane and a type of magic called divine, roughly. Even in that, there are divisions in the magic beyond. But really, honestly, there's two kind of origin sources of magic. Clerics are going to be your divine. They actually, and the distinction here with most magic is divine stems from a deity or a external source, such as a deity or something sentient like that. Whereas arcane magic is more within you, within, the world, the life force of the world, stuff like that. So your cleric is going to be a divine magic caster. They basically are I hate using the word, but it's kind of an avatar of their deity. The reason I hate using that is because avatar in D&D actually means something really big. But then you have your druid, which is tree huggers. I don't know. Druids and me.
Druids. So there's the religious magic, and then there's the nature-based magic, and druids use nature-based magic.
Okay. So they're the same as the cleric, except for that distinction, and they can't wear metal stuff. So
and they can shapeshift.
They're just annoying.
They're pretty awesome.
Oh, I hate you. Anyways, fighters.
Not Genosi, though.
What's that?
I said they're not Genosi, though.
Oh, yeah, that's very true. So fighters are exactly that. They're fighters. Like they're going to be, they're not the barbarians is the other base class. I forgot. So your barbarians are like your rage, the guys that go into berserker rage. A fighter is the same alignment as far as skill sets, but they're much more methodical and much more usually aware of what's going on around them. They also can actually wear armor. And then that kind of leads us to the Paladin, which is basically the fighter version of the Cleric. So again, this is a magic using fighter, but this is divine magic, not arcane magic.
Warrior priest.
Yeah, there you go. Warrior priest. And then you have rangers, which are almost as annoying as paladins. They do. That's the only thing they do. They got two weapons. Okay, I'm sorry. I should have prefaced this whole thing. I play rogues, so pretty much
you get pooped on most of the time.
Yeah, but I'm like, if it's not combat, I'm usually my characters are usually the ones that take care of everything because we're skill monkeys. Right. That's what rogues do.
Well, yeah. That's about it.
Yep.
But as soon as you get in combat, you have to hide.
If you get in combat and you're a rogue, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my advice if you're playing a rogue. If you're in combat, you've done something terribly, terribly wrong, and you should really reevaluate your class choice. But anyways, rangers, yes, you get two weapons at the same time. Hurrah! You're also what the paladin is to the cleric, a ranger is to a druid, kind of. That's the progression there. Your magic users, again, you got wizard, which is arcane magic. They focus on arcane magic. And they are different from sorcerers, who are also arcane magic, in that a sorcerer A sorcerer is someone that naturally understands magic. The way that they explain things. I'm sorry, chat. That is not an insult because kinders are amazing. Sorcerers run arcane magic basically through them. And the way they explain this is arcane magic users within the game, and Damoel, correct me here if I'm wrong, if this is not the case any longer, but in 3rd edition, the way they explained arcane magic users was that they actually had a degree of draconic heritage to them.
Yep.
Is that still the...
That's an option now. There's other options too.
They have
It
options.
doesn't have to be.
Okay. So there you go. You now can optionally be a draconic heritage or not. The prime difference between a wizard and a sorcerer is a wizard has to prepare spells, whereas a sorcerer has all their spells memorized. The wizard will have usually more spells, but the sorcerer's spells are generally a little bit more powerful.
Sorcerer spells are, well, in some ways. I think the wizard spells hit harder or are more useful in some ways, but the sorcerer has more tricks in his bag.
Yeah. And then Warlock, I'm not familiar with Warlock.
Warlock is another name for sorcerer in 4th edition.
Okay. So it's kind of a variant. Is that how they got around the draconic heritage?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And
They're
then
just strikers.
All right. And then we have the monk, which is awesome. I don't know. I like monks. They're pretty much, well, in current edition, in 5th edition, they actually do have a degree of supernatural power. They can channel what's their key. They kind of had that in 3rd edition, but not nearly to the level that they do now. But monks are basically close combat, close quarter combat, hand-to-hand combat specialists. And then you get the thief, the rogue, who's amazing and the best class ever. The end. No, the rogues tend to be skill monkeys. What I mean by that is a rogue, usually you don't build rogues to be in combat. Most of the other classes you can kind of build with the intent of being able to take a couple hits. A rogue really is not meant to be in combat. They are meant to be, if they're in combat, it's merely to deal severe damage with 1 or 2 strikes from what's called their sneak attack ability. But the predominant use of rogues is actually outside of combat. They're usually the ones that, there's a trap. They find the trap and then they disarm the trap. If there's anything that you have to get into that's locked, the rogue is going to be the person to do that. Generally, you can also build rogues to be more charismatic. You can build rogues to be more, dexterous. They're really kind of fluid as far as that, with the consistent base of they are not generally going to be the best combat class. Whereas the other ones, the other classes, you can kind of fudge it so that the other classes are pretty decent in combat. Rogues, I've seen 1 or 2 builds that do pretty well in combat, but it's not common for rogues. I'm trying to think, did I forget anybody? I don't think I did. Oh, the Scions, but we don't talk about them.
Oh, that's okay. Why? How did they explain that, having the psychic powers? Because I know that's not generally a thing.
I honestly don't know, because I didn't even pay attention to them. Scion... God, I remember them introducing this, and it was like... They're like... So they're very similar to, like, the... is it Ilthiids? The...
Illithids.
Lithids, the squid heads, Cthulhu's.
Yep.
Go on.
No, oh god, illithids are terrifying. But they
you need
like
to look up when you walk into a room that they're in?
no, they're humanoid, but they do levitate. So yes, looking up would you wouldn't see them.
That's
anyways.
actually worse.
Yeah, you wouldn't see them anyways because they're in the Underdark, which there's no light at all. So
is that like the Upside Down?
No, the Upside Down is actually a different is a Shadowdale. Isn't the Upside Down Shadowdale? Damoel?
Shadowlands, yeah.
Shadowlands, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, psionics. I know that they did explain it, but I don't remember.
I don't remember. I don't remember what it was.
I just ignored psionics. I'll be
some
completely
shoehorned in element. Yeah, pretty much everybody did.
They didn't make it past 3rd edition, though, did they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they were in 4th. I thought they were in 4th.
4th, they were really interesting. They had this whole separate resource, this power pool that you could use to like enhance abilities. So they played a lot differently.
Oh, that's right, because they clumped the monks. They clumped monks into psionics.
Oh, got it. It's
because that's where the key.
Handbook 2.
Yeah.
Did you literally just say the phrase "they clunk the monks"?
Clump the monks as a psionic.
Clump.
Got it. So there's
Clump
other.
the monks.
Yeah. No.
And
that's
Green-Eyed will play GURPS for that. Okay.
Yes, I will play GURPS for any psychic characters.
I literally feel like you're making words up at this point.
I'm not. GURPS was a better. Okay, I'm gonna have a fight with you over this.
Wait, okay. Can I ask you a question? If you're in the grocery store, are the GURPS near the Bogno? And how far do I have to go to get to the Speggy and Marbles?
They're better. They're closer to the Strawies, but you can find them.
Okay. Sorry. Continue.
Bacon double cheeseburger.
But GURPS did a good job of explaining and like making the psionics make sense in the rules.
Yeah, but GURPS wasn't GURPS basically designed to be implemented in any single RPG?
Exactly. It was
I mean, that's right.
Base 20.
Okay.
But it was a base 20 version that was a simplified 3.5, but not the same company.
That almost doesn't make sense. What? A simplified 3.5?
It's a simplified version of
what is this, Pathfinder?
D&D 3.5. It's kind of like Pathfinder, yeah. It's got some very similar aspects to it.
I heard demo that there. No. Pathfinder was fun until they ran into the same problem 3.5 did.
Mm-hmm.
So back classes I think that was all the classes. Or all the base classes. That's by no means all the classes.
There's so many different versions.
Trying to see real quick. Because you got Barbarian, you got Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Yep, cool. So, yeah, and then classes, that's kind of the base.
Talk about the races?
Yeah, oh, Lord. Base races. I mean, I'm terrible with this because I really only play humans or wild elves. What are the base races in 5e now? Because I know they simplified that a little bit.
I don't know for 5e. Damo, do you know? I have 4e here. And I know they changed it again for 5e for some of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the standards, gnomes, dwarves. I think it's got 2 different elves.
Mm-hmm. They have 5e
Wood elf,
has,
high elf.
Yeah, I was about to say they have wood elf and high elf because I play wood and Kashin plays a high elf and I make fun of her all the time.
Which that's pretty normal, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would have made fun of you for playing a high elf regardless of who you are because high elves they just need to go away.
But they're so snooty.
Yeah, my bias against high elves completely comes from Elder Scrolls. So just realize that, like, the Altmer, freaking Altmer.
Mine might come from some Tolkien.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Fine. Get on your boat. Go. Go. Fine. Leave. I don't care anyways. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to, the ones that matter, Green.
Galadriel. She was a high elf, wasn't she?
Yeah, but she's a little psycho. She made us look in her pool, and then she went all like,
Sometimes I worry about you.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Justin, I have a race that I think you would enjoy.
Oh, God.
You could play basically a walking humanoid dragon called Dragonborn.
Oh, God. That would be terrible.
So, is there like a place to buy these things? Is there, what do you buy? Do you buy a book, a board? Mm-hmm. Like, what do you get?
Yes.
Yeah. So you buy, Green, you want to talk about that?
Generally we've been talking about multiple editions, and they're just updates to the rules. And there are a trio of books that most people will buy. It has the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Player Handbook, which is really the only book that you need if you're not planning on running your own game, and then the Monster Manual. And each of these books has an immense amount of information explaining in the Dungeons Master Guide how to actually run a game, how to set up settings. It teaches you how to storytell. The Player Handbook gives you all the races and the classes and how those guys will progress through the levels. And the Monster Manual will actually give you a huge amount of monsters to choose from to build those encounters off of. But those are the main three. And then there's always extended kind of books that help with storytelling or help with extra types of classes and different builds and all sorts of stuff. But you take those books and you create a mindscape, you create a story with the Dungeon Master, and you all play around what used to be a mat or a board, depending on who had it, and you would have little characters, you'd move around, and it's like playing a war game. But 5e kind of did away with that, where you do it all in your head, and it's just basically a giant game of improv.
You can still play on a mat, can't you? We do.
You can, but they made it to where you can actually play without the mat now in 5e.
Oh, how do you do combat?
How do you do combat? Yeah, I've not done it that way.
Because we use Roll20, and then like if we're in if we're in person, I usually will use a mat. But like right now, most of us are kind of in different areas geographically, so we all use Roll20, which is a digital mat. So,
yeah, I've seen. Oh, what is that? Critical Role. Critical Role kind of does it too. But the one that, gosh, I cannot think of his name. They always do it at E3. It's a TV show-ish type thing. Will Wheaton was on it for a little while, and then I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
Somebody else talk for a second.
Well, you asked about races, so I pulled up 5th edition. The current races that are in the default races are going to be dwarves, elves, halflings, humans. Don't play halflings. Humans, dragonborn.
Oh, we go fight.
Oh God, really, Damo, really?
Are there gelflings?
Gnomes, half elves, half orcs, and tieflings. God. Really? Halflings?
Halflings are awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Talking about being a rogue, you're not going to pick halfling?
No, I play
What's
wood
wrong
elves.
with you?
Wood elves.
How different is halfling from Kinder?
In Kryn, they're not that different, actually.
Yeah, I think it's more of like it's really more of a person. Kinder are more kleptomaniac.
they're actually the result of a kind of a malfunction, which split them off kind of in a mutant way from dwarves, or from half. No, is it
so funny?
Is it the halfling was the original?
I can't.
Or was it dwarves?
I think it's halflings were original, and then
they got split. Like their stubborn natures got split into dwarves, and their curious natures got split into gnomes.
Wait, I thought dwarves were there first.
Oh,
Like,
maybe it was.
Well,
maybe
nobody. I don't. Everybody has their own opinion on it. They all acknowledge that it happened because the thing that caused them to split off still exists, but nobody acknowledges who is first. Like, except I think the halflings think it was them, and the dwarves thinks it was them, and the Kender don't care.
It's the chicken and the egg.
the Kinder are the ones that are just like, whatever.
This is awesome.
I love Kinder. They crack me. Halflings are just, they just get in trouble so much.
Well, those are formative years, Blue.
No,
I mean,
no.
what do you expect?
Halflings are the ones that like you deliberately tell some like. I mean, and Kinder will do it too, but Kinder do it and like they play it off like a prank. Halfling is like dead serious when they do it. They're like, no, we can do this. It's like, no, you really can't. No, we can do this. It's like, you're gonna die.
Kinder is the kid in the classroom who doesn't actually know better.
Yeah.
And is sort of adorable enough to pull it off.
Yeah.
Right, they're the cute ones. They're the ones that get away with it every time because they have that cheesy grin.
So I'm a Kinder.
Yes. Except
Penn says
Green
in
just called
Kern,
me cute.
both dwarves and Kinder used to be gnomes.
Okay.
So gnome, I think.
That
right, because
explains
the gnomes made the machine.
Yeah, that's right. The gnomes did make the machine. That's right. Because that makes sense, given that they're gnomes. Okay, so dwarves. Dwarves are dwarves. I don't know. Like they're your stereotypical dwarves. It's
like a Tolkien dwarf, right? I mean, pretty much.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, yes.
Can you tell the men from the women?
Generally, yes. In Forgotten
Depends
Realms,
on how you want to play it. If you want to play with a beard and you're a girl, you can totally do that.
Yeah. That's what Gimli said.
God. Okay, and then you have elves. You have elves, which, in 5th edition, they've kind of reduced the split back to mainly 2. You have high elves and wood elves. I'm assuming that they're going to be reintroducing the other sub-races. Because don't they have drow?
Elves and stuff. Yeah, drow was technically part of them originally, weren't they?
Oh, drow's always. I mean, in third edition, you had like 20 different types of elves.
Right.
But playable right now in 5e, which is 5th edition, you have the not the moon elf, god Damoel. I blame you for that. You have the high elf and the wild elf. High elves are generally your hoity-toity elves, and wild elves are kind of the more stereotypical elf that is you don't see them because they're out in the wilderness. Halflings think of the Hobbit, I think.
Well, considering that their place of origin is a really misspelled Shire, essentially.
It's totally
What's it called?
Infringement.
It's Shire.
Is it Shire?
It really is. It really is. It's really funny.
Is it East Hobbiton?
It's just spelled I don't know if they have like the actual towns within them the same, but the Shire, it's just spelled differently. It's the exact same thing.
It's really funny.
It's kind of located similarly on the map too.
And then
in Middle Toril.
And then you have humans, which, we've kind of spoken. Humans are actually one of the original creator races. And they actually are pretty versatile. They're humans. Humans are not really a lot of explanation needed there. Dragonborn, I think Dragonborn is different than a half dragon, right?
Yes.
Okay. What is a Dragonborn then?
A Dragonborn, okay, theoretically through the lore, is some people believe they are when the original dragon god, the original one, got split in half and created what is it? Tiamat and I can't remember the bad guy one.
Oh,
What's the dragon? The bad guy dragon.
I thought Tiamat was the bad one.
Bad guy dragon, good dragon. So the split there, and it was the blood supposedly that created the Dragonborn. I have to look up as far as what the name of the Dragon Lords or whatever were. Tiamat's one of them, I think, and then somebody else.
It's Tiamat and Bahamut, right?
Yeah, Bahamut.
Thank you.
Bahamut was the good one.
Yeah, I just reversed them.
Yeah. I was like, please tell me Tiamat is not the good one, because that really makes me worried.
We could talk about Grummish if you want.
Oh, Grummish. I just had a run-in with Grummish orcs.
I feel like you're just mispronouncing grimace.
Kind of, yeah.
He's not a happy person. I will give you that.
Is he
That's what
angry
happened.
at the Scramburglar?
No, he's angry because he got his eye poked out.
By
Oh.
Orlon?
Yep.
Yeah. So they denied that.
Who has a really messed up relationship with Lolth.
Yeah, there's kind of
Elven deity interactions are complicated at best.
really weird. So anyways, Dragonborn.
Yeah.
Before we go down that particular, oh god, yeah, Elven pantheon is just wonky. So the Dragonborn are actually, are they the result of that split, or how? What's the difference between a Dragonborn and a half dragon? Is my question.
I think it's just era, like of when it was made.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they're two distinct things.
Probably not,
okay.
considering that Eladrin and High Elves are the same thing. They're just named differently.
Okay, that makes more sense. Let's see what we have. Gnomes, which are your tinkerers and your mechanics. They're kind of they're similar to halflings, except usually more mechanically inclined. Don't tell a halfling that they're similar, but or a gnome. Don't tell either of them that they're similar.
I think of are they considered goblins in Harry Potter? The ones who run the bank? I think of gnomes as kind of that kind of creature. Although their gnomes are much cuter than those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then let's see. Then we have half elves, which are literally half elf, half human. So you kind of
not real well liked by either.
Yeah. They're the black sheep. Well, they're the redheaded stepchild, I guess, really.
Yeah.
But they are liked better than the half orcs because those are half orcs.
They have it rough.
And then tiefling is technically it's what, planar touched?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tieflings are they exclusively evil in 5e?
On 5e, I don't know.
They weren't in 4. You could play whatever
You could play a celestial
alignment
tiefling.
you wanted. Well,
they were infernal touched for sure.
Oh, they were infernal, so they have to be infernal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but evil not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. So those are the base races in 5e. And obviously, like, as you can probably tell from the conversation, each edition kind of bounces over as the edition goes on, like lengthwise, as it keeps going and keeps going, you continue to see more races introduced. That's one of the reasons why 3.5 was so cumbersome, was because you had basically books and books of races that you could play. Same with classes. Classes was the exact same. And then obviously each time they introduced new races or new classes into the game, that changes every set of rules really. And so you had to kind of that. And then what happens is that eventually reaches a point where it's critical mass and they have to come up with a new edition, which is where we get 4th edition. And then 4th edition was so bad that they came out with 5th edition, 5th edition.
Wasn't 3rd edition the time that you could literally take a monster from the monster manual and they showed you how to turn it into a playable class or playable race?
Yeah, I can't remember if that was 3.0 or 3.5, but yes.
I think it was 3.5.
But yeah, I know in 3.5 you could, because we did that before. You could do that with blink dogs.
Ugh.
Blink dogs were amazing.
Aw.
And annoying as all get out for those people who were fighting the blink dog.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see. I'm trying to think. Really, I mean, the thing is about D&D is that the challenge when you sit down and you want to talk about like the history of D&D and stuff like that is there are major events that are kind of set in stone. I kind of picture D&D as a giant Doctor Who episode. There are like I mean, but think about it. There are things there are things that are set that you can't mess with. Like Karsus's Folly. You can't mess with it.
Yeah.
But the minor details are completely up to the individual DM. The spell plague. You have the spell plague. It completely screwed up magic and everyone hated it. And then the second Sundering happened and everyone was really mad. And like the time of troubles, that was a big thing. It happened. There was nothing really you could do about it. Now, during that iteration and during that that time in game, you could kind of tweak things. Like I know Damoel, you and I were talking about, one of your adventures was during time of troubles, you challenged I think was it you that challenged your players to keep everyone alive?
Yeah, so usually when you run the time of troubles, the whole purpose of the campaign becomes to find your way to godhood, right? But this particular group, when presented with the problem of the gods being immortal and walking around, was that they had to, under all circumstances, protect them all until they could fix whatever this problem was. So it was like, it was like a UN negotiation, basically. Like the whole campaign. I don't know that there was more than 5 or 6 fights in the whole campaign. It was all bureaucracy and sitting around.
Bane was all of the fights.
Bane was chained in a basement. That was one of the big fights.
I just love it.
Not even kidding you. They actually found a basement.
It's like the first question I had for you.
Yeah.
It's like, how did you get Bane?
It was a cellar.
Yeah.
Oh no! So the joke there is Bane is like, oh my god! I don't even. What is his portfolio now? Is it still?
Everything. It's everything nasty. Is Bane back? I don't remember.
I can't remember if he's back.
I don't think he's back. I think he's still dead because Cyric got hit all of his stuff.
Oh, that's Cyric. Cyric did get all of his stuff. Yeah. But anyways, Bane was like. He was obsessed with
the original troublemaker.
All the bad stuff. All the bad stuff. Yeah. And so like the joke there is like anytime you wanted something peaceful, don't have Bane. Don't get Bane anywhere near it because he would screw it all up.
Just put Bane in the corner.
His name literally means thing that which is your downfall.
Yeah, no,
it was a little on the nose.
it was and he lived up to it. Fear, hatred, tyranny, and fear, hatred, and tyranny were his
big
things.
Big deals.
Freaking Bane. And then Mask. Poor Mask.
Mask never really had it good.
No,
never got good for him.
So can you guys explain something to me? I'm a little confused.
Okay.
So D&D in and of itself, from a gameplay standpoint, is somewhat of a tabletop RPG experience, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You build your own character in like all these ways.
Mm-hmm.
You pick character classes and subclasses and all these things and attributes, and you kind of build them up in a certain way to fulfill a certain role.
Mm-hmm.
Where do these, I guess, named characters, how do they fit in with this? Is this all in like expanded universe literature that you're getting all this from, or is this like, I'm just a little like in a video game, it would be like you would have your character and then you would have cutscenes, but you don't have cutscenes, so
it goes back and forth. Some characters will be introduced in the books and end up in the role playing, and then vice versa too.
Well, how do they show up in the role playing?
That's what the job of the DM, the dungeon, game master, dungeon master, whatever you want to call them.
They'll give you some good, statistics and starting for it, but the rest is, as he says, up to.
So there's like NPC dialogue that works its way into your role playing game.
So like normally the setup is if you're let's just make it simple. If you're at a table and you're playing a traditional tabletop role playing game, usually what you're doing is you're literally sitting around a table, hence the name tabletop. And you will have, let's say you have 5 people, right? 4 of those people are what are called player characters, and those are actual people playing characters. The 5th individual is what's called the GM or the DM. Depending on the group that you're running with, there's different terms for it, but it's usually game master or dungeon master. And that person has the job of facilitating the world. They play the world. They play everything outside of those 4 characters that are sitting in front of them. So any NPC, any monster, any anything outside of those characters, they are playing that. So the DM usually has to be pretty well versed in what's going on in like the world around them, and that's where like you get these situations where like you have these big events, these big events. You have notable figures, like Elminster for the Forgotten Realms is huge. He's everywhere. Drizzt is everywhere. But you have these big figures, and that's where Green was talking about one of those books called the Dungeon Master Guide, the DMG. That book is to the Dungeon Master what your player handbook is to the players. It tells you how to tell a story, and that's the thing to remember about role playing games is that it's group storytelling. That's what you're doing. You're sitting down and you're actually engaging each other in the process of telling a story about the adventures of this group of travelers or warriors or mystics or whatever. You're telling their story together, and that's the process. And the DM kind of is they kind of fill the role of the filler and the background creator. The tone of the story, it comes from the DM usually. All that stuff comes from the DM. So when you're talking about NPCs, which are non-player characters, that's where you get the DM. That's their job. DMs are usually the world creators, the town creators. That's why if you ever search for role-playing game tools, you're going to see, pages and pages and pages of creator tools. You're like quick creator, name generators, town generators, world generators. I mean, anything out there, you're going to have a generator for. And that's because as a DM, if you're running a game, and so like, when I run games, I will have a world, right? And you say, I'm planning on the group to go left at the fork, but the group decides because they have free will that they're going to go right. Well, I don't have that built. So as a DM, I need something that I can go and generate something on the fly for the group to experience. And often, to be honest, as a player and even as a DM, sometimes those are the best experiences, is when you don't know what's going to happen. Like, no one knows what's going to happen next. So, Green, I know you wanted to jump in.
Right. What I love about being a DM, which is honestly the only way I've ever played Dungeons and Dragons. I've actually been a player in GURPS. I've never been a player in D&D. I've always been the person in charge of storytelling. And what I love about it is you can get as detailed as you want, or you can be as freeform as you want. You could literally go in with notes and notes and notes, a book of notes of exactly what your world looks like and exactly what you're going to see around this next corner. Or you can go in with nothing and make it all up on the spot, and you can make it work.
Right.
It is completely up to you.
One of my fondest memories was the group that I played with in high school. We came up against, so like we weren't like super low level, but we were like level 5, level 6. And we came up against a troll. And trolls are just annoying in general. Like they regenerate and they just don't die. They're basically giant tanks. And one of our rogues, because we had multiple rogues, one of our rogues decided that he was going to throw his lantern onto the troll because they're weak to fire. And this is where the D20 will come in and bite you at the worst time possible. Because he went to throw the flask of oil onto the troll and rolled a natural 1, which is a critical failure. And the DM, who was already kind of perturbed at this rogue, because long story short, the rogue had a bag of holding that we had jury-rigged with traps and had to actually manage to capture one of the big NPCs that we were supposed to be fighting. We had actually trapped him inside the bag of holding. So it was a long campaign story. But we wouldn't let him out. So he just, like, we'd give him food and water and open the bag so he could breathe. But anyways, so he was already annoyed at this rogue. So he made him actually spill the oil on him. And the rogue's response, without missing a beat, was light himself on fire and run and give the troll a bear hug. And the thing is like, you know, retelling this, it's like, whatever. But the actual, like, when you're sitting at a table and the person is like having to react in real time to these just like atrocious pins in chat, roll a 1 when swinging a magical sword. It's never a good thing. But like the reaction, like the face and the, like, I mean, it's just, the adrenaline rush is huge, and it's just, you're laughing, you're having the best time in the world. And then people do like crazy stuff. I mean, AD&D, we used to be able to sneak attack with ballista weapons. That was a really bad idea on the rule writer that we abused significantly. We snuck attack with a rogue. We threw a rogue as a weapon one time. That was fun.
God.
Oh,
What?
no. We also fed a rogue. We fed a rogue to a land shark, and he snuck attack from inside his stomach. That was another rogue.
No.
Yeah, because a sneak attack in AD&D was, you're not suspecting it. The rogue was like, well, you wouldn't expect the attack from the stomach. He
hadn't technically died
He
yet.
hadn't technically died
Do you-
yet. Right, yeah.
Do you have to yell sneak attack? Because I feel like that's integral to this whole process.
You can. Like, I mean, it's just so, I mean,
That's what I would
seriously, the crazier the idea for D&D, the crazier the idea, the better the memories. Even if it doesn't work. I mean, half the time it's just the idea of like something so insanely bizarre. And then when it does work, you're like, yes. You're just, I don't know. I can't explain that in words. It's like the rush of, not only did you come up with a harebrained scheme, you actually managed to pull it off. So I don't.
The easiest and the best memories in D&D come from the stupidest ideas.
Yep. That is a true statement. Justin, what I'm hearing right now is that we really need to get you to play a game of D&D.
Sounds like.
If I knew, like, is there an adapter for my controller? Like, does it, like,
No.
Justin, I can tell you,
Yeah.
you already have all the skill set you'll ever need to play D&D.
so I know how to shoot.
You know how to talk.
All right. That's nice. So it's like a game of telephone.
Exactly.
Yeah,
except
yeah,
you
it
don't
actually-
have to repeat things.
God,
It's just back and forth.
we're gonna have to record that if we ever get it done.
Someone told me the other day, they were like, I was like, I'm doing a podcast about D&D, and I have no idea about it. I've never played it before. And they were like, oh my God, I'm so done with you. And I was like, why? And they were like, you're even bad at being a nerd. I was like, this is highly offensive.
And yet,
No. I'll come to Justin's defense with this one. There are different types of nerds. You do not have to be a D&D nerd.
no, but you should have at least tried it.
I struck a real chord.
Damo's not
I-
backing down there.
I struck a real chord with Blue there.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. You're even bad at being a nerd.
And I was like, but I might be. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Oh,
But yeah, no, what you're describing to me sounds really fun. It really sounds to me like the game is almost, and don't just attack me here, Damo, but the game in certain instances is almost inconsequential. It's more about who you play
Yep.
with.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually agree with that 100%.
100%. Yeah. I mean, if you don't, and that's the thing is, like, I've played D&D. I've played a lot of different RPGs, and like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what game with RPGs and like tabletops in general. The group is like 95, if not 100%, the making or breaking of the game. Like, you can have, I mean, going back to AD&D, THACO, which is, right. No, but I mean, my case in point, THACO is that exasperation. But you know what? We played it every month
Yep.
for like, I don't even know how many years we played AD&D for every month. And it wasn't because we loved the game. I mean, God, we hated that game. Like, if you asked anyone who actually sat down and played AD&D, it was not because of the love of the game. Well, for most of them, it was not. I know a few people who did actually enjoy AD&D, and I think they're kind of odd. But like, the majority of people did not enjoy like the mechanics of AD&D. No, they got together because they wanted to hang out with their friends and have an excuse to spend. I mean, we played, like 10, 12-hour games when we were playing that, and it was an absolute blast. Like, I would not have traded that for anything.
For sure.
I mean, I think Damo probably would agree. I think Damo would agree with that.
For sure, yeah.
Now, there is a dark side or dark history to D&D, unfortunately, but luckily, I don't think we've had any issues. I haven't heard of any issues in a long time.
Well,
But-
and I mean, and I'm assuming you're talking about the whole satanic obsession. So here's my response for that. I actually did some research on this one when I was in high school, because it was a big thing even then. You're right. It's not like a huge thing anymore. It's still kind of around a little bit, but not nearly as bad as it was when, I think, what was that, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. But the thing is that it was just like most of the other like social scares of that nature. a lot of time, and I mean, it was just like when you see people blaming, back when people blame school shootings on first-person shooters, or anything like that. I'm not going to say that there wasn't ever like cases where that could have happened, but the volume was not as significant as many people would lead people to believe. It wasn't. Just
right.
statistically,
the other
it
side
wasn't.
of that I remember is they had a talk about mental disorders.
Yes.
There was a lot of psychological things. They said that people who play D&D would have dissociative identity disorder, which is not stupid.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, as a person who did like a lot of, and actually one of our really good friends, Infirmage, actually did a bit of I think one of his theses was actually on the healing factors of role playing with regards to mental illness, and how and even in clinical studies today, especially with this clinical studies today, you have instances of not D&D, but role playing. Role playing has become an acceptable clinical approach to deal with issues. People with, let's just go to the extreme of agoraphobia. One of the best ways to get people with agoraphobia kind of to a functioning standpoint, because I mean, the thing with agoraphobia, anything with any phobia is arguably you're not going to get rid of it, but to get them to a functioning standpoint is to role play situations in which they can quote experience a situation that would normally cause them extreme amounts of stress in a context in which they are 100% safe. You even have this in education today. You have a lot of role playing with the counseling. And actually, I think if I'm remembering right, you actually have some light. I don't know if it's D&D, but you have light fantasy role play in some classrooms.
Oh yeah. It's been used in everything. There's books about it. I took a class in college about stage fright in particular, and one of the ways that athletes practice this way, you put yourself in a mental state where you're actually going through the motions in your mind of exactly what you want to do in that situation. So it helps prepare your brain. It's creating those pathways before you get to that situation, so you're able to cope with it much more easily.
Right. Because you have, because experientially you have already experienced it. You just haven't physically experienced it, but your mental state is like it. It's the same thing as muscle memory. Your habitual build is, if you've put yourself through the motions enough time, you're not going to freak out about that. And so that's where the role playing concept actually is very, very useful. It actually does the exact opposite of all these things that a lot of people were claiming back, 10, 15 years ago. It actually solidifies the person usually. Instead of fragmenting the personality because you're playing quote unquote, fantasy, whatever, it also presents a healthy way to live out desires or social inclinations that would not be healthy. You get that in role play. D&D is a prime example of that with regards to the combat. It's not like you can just run down the corner of the corner store and go on an adventure and kill goblins. That's not something that happens. Whereas within D&D, that's exactly what you sit down with a group of friends and you're in a safe environment and you can do these like crazy things. And yes, there sometimes can be crazily violent things. Again, this is completely dependent on the DM. Damoel was just saying that as well. There's been games that I've played that there isn't an ounce of combat. It's all role play. And there are games that I've played where there is no role play. It is all hack and slash. Like, the group that you play with sets the tone. The DM definitely sets the tone. I mean, I don't know what else to really say. It's a safe way to experience these things in which they don't harm other people if done correctly. I mean, it's just like everything else. I mean, if you abuse it, then yes, it's not healthy. But if you don't abuse it, it's actually pretty healthy for people.
It's not necessarily escapism. It's a way for a lot of people to actually get over some of their own fears. A friend of mine who actually introduced me to role-playing games actually had not as much problem talking with women as like Raj from Big Bang Theory, but I think he actually was fibbing a little bit and he was nearly that bad. But he was able to actually work with girls in a game setting because he put himself in a different mindset that he's not this person, he's Ragnarok or whatever his character name was at the time.
Yeah. She's actually talking about me.
Are you important?
I have a hard time talking to people.
Yeah, we've noticed.
No, I definitely get the whole point of an avatar softening the blow, because people are so superficial that they're going to judge your avatar or your character presentation. They're not going to judge you, because that's the superficial presentation they're presented with, and it actually takes some of the sting away of meeting new people.
Yeah, and actually it
lets you know why there's like 1 million people playing Destiny.
Well, and within regards to D&D and Forgotten Realms and all that, it actually introduces a safe context in which to meet people. So, I mean, you get the stereotypical tabletop player, right? The stereotypical tabletop player is usually not very developed socially. Is this popular, I would almost claim false stereotype. But okay, let's go with that. Let's run with that idea. If that's actually the case, then this is actually a very good tool to help those people actually get out and meet more people who are just like them. And hey, guess what? The easiest way to make friends is have something in common that you're both passionate about. Introduce role-playing. Introduce tabletop games. And I mean, geez, you have any doubt about this? Go look at Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering was a huge thing. And there were tournaments when I was in high school, there were tournaments for Magic it felt like every day. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's just one in role playing, Hurt actually just said this in chat, and it's a very, very good point. Even if you don't use tabletop or video games, like even if you just are, just doing this, you can do role playing. And it also, from a D&D standpoint, if you're the DM, this teaches a really, really useful skill, and that's world building. World building is immensely important because it actually encourages the imagination. It pushes your imaginative boundaries. It's like, hey, you want to create a world that is, I don't know, not anything like Earth. I mean, Justin, you're going to recognize some of these. You would recognize some of these worlds because they're exactly kind of some of the things that come out of like Heinlein. Some of these domains.
Yes.
Right. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, some Heinlein created crazy worlds.
Yeah.
And the thing is like that there is nothing really out there in today's world that teaches that anymore. There's no class that, formally teaches you how to world build in that nature. D&D does. And actually DMG handholds you through the entire process.
A lot of writers in Hollywood play Dungeons and Dragons or a form of role-playing game. I mean, that's how they...
Is that like a focus group?
It kind of is.
Yeah. I could definitely see like
a lot of
how it could be a useful tool for storytelling,
Right. I mean,
on a broader scale.
right. And then you have people like Critical Role who are voice actors. Voice actors will play this. And if you have not seen Critical Role, I encourage you to go fix that problem immediately because it's hilarious and extremely well done. But all the people playing that are voice actors from video games. Mercer, the DM, is actually in Destiny.
Right.
Grog and is it not Vax or Vex?
So, just so you guys know, a little known fact about Blue, you will not actually like physically see Blue fanboy a whole lot like you will see me. Critical Role, Geek and Sundry, these are
I got to
these
meet
are
them.
times when you will see. And I can remember the conversation we had after you did.
Yeah, I know. I was like
Like,
on cloud 9.
Yeah, so like these are Blue's idols. So just
These guys
are really good
are
shows. Check these guys out. We should
amazing.
link them in the post show.
Laura
Yeah.
Although if you're
Bailey.
watching us and then finding your way to them, I think you're doing it backwards. But
Yeah,
whatever.
definitely. Laura Bailey who is the
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
wife. She's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, and
Is it Kylie?
yeah, Kylie, who plays Kayla.
Kylie's awesome. Yeah.
Matt's probably my favorite though.
Well, the fun fact.
I don't know.
That's just
I don't know anything about the game, but that dude's hilarious.
Yeah, the fun fact about Laura and Travis is they're married, and they are both in Halo 5. One of them is on Blue Team, and one of them's on Noble Team. The other one plays on Osiris. So
Nice.
Travis is Frederick on Noble Team. And
Fred.
Laura is
Is she Laura?
I can't remember which one she plays on Osiris. It's the diplomat. I can't remember the character's name, but yeah. So I made a joke when that first came out. I was like, oh, so it's actual red versus blue in your house. That must be interesting.
Fun fact: the only way you get to be on Team Osiris and not have me think bad thoughts about you is if you're Buck. Pretty much, it's like I'm on Team Osiris. Oh, you piece of! I was Buck. I could see that.
Insert whip cracky noise.
That's the only way you get to be on Team Osiris. Fire Team Osiris.
Speaking back to your kind of talk about Critical Role, there's so many podcasts out there now. I know I actually really enjoy doing listening to Critical Hit, which was a podcast put out of here in Kansas which was a lot of fun. And they did a whole campaign in 4th edition. And I listened through 3 seasons of that. I mean, there's so many things out there that you can go and find and listen to and enjoy somebody else storytelling and these people just acting essentially and creating their own worlds. It's good. All the shenanigans are fun.
Well, that's what D&D always boils down to, is who comes up with the craziest ideas. And then the cherry on top, again, is does it work? Does that actually work? And that's kind of the cherry on top of everything is I came up with this insane idea and then we pulled it off.
Or the room of skeletons just exploded and stabbed everybody to death. I mean, you never know what you're going to get.
Diplomacy. You never know. It might work.
Yeah. Can you diplomacy
My
a
DMs hate
horse?
me. Yeah, my DMs hate me because I'm like, diplomacy. No. But it might work.
Or history check.
Or history. Oh, God, history checks.
Mm-hmm. But would my character know this?
Well, that was one. So the 5th edition game that we're playing right now, my character just gained Keen Mind, which is basically, hey, I have eidetic memory. If I see it, I remember it. Our DM's like, what I just understood is I'm just going to give you all the notes for the flavor text. and you can just keep them. So I'm like, I'm not gonna read them. I'm not gonna reread them for everyone to remember. Like,
So
I will
what's your
accept this.
favorite memory, Damo, in a game that you guys had?
It really was that UN game of inter-deity peace relations. Running that, like, and I had to run that. It was, like, that's the first time a campaign idea has ever backfired that hard because I had to do so much work prepping. I mean, I had to set up UN meetings, literally.
That's funny.
But they were like UP meetings, right? Because they were like United Planes, or were they actually?
Well, no, because it was basically
meetings,
all of the gods
United
were
Realms?
stuck on. The Time of Troubles was AO got upset at the way the deities were behaving. They didn't really care about their followers. They were just kind of pursuing personal stuff. And so he kicked them all out of heaven and on to the mortal plane to live as mortals. Extremely powerful mortals, but still mortals. Which
Is
obviously,
that where primordials came from?
no, that's a whole different thing. But basically, all the gods.
Dang it! I missed the whole point of this show. That's the one thing I wanted to learn.
What primordials were?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so they were all walking around.
I love that Damo's just like, yeah, nice. Anyways,
If they died, they blew up nuclear style and took out everything around them. So it was a big deal, and the general thing is the
It
players.
sounds like a big deal.
The players would want to become gods, right? Because there was all this godly power flowing around, but these guys had none of it. They were getting every single god back into heaven without any deaths.
oh man, I just remember talking to you about that, and I was like, that is an interesting take on that entire game setting.
Our sweet and youthful and innocent priestess character, by the end, she was commanding a literal cleansing of the Zentarum Keep.
That's understandable. That's completely understandable.
Like, she was a frothing crusader by the end of it.
Oh man. Well,
I've never seen what war does
transformation.
to people before. I mean, to the ground. That whole place. Everybody.
Oh man.
I believe her exact words were, as an example to our enemies.
So Green has just forwarded me the Cliff's Notes on primordials and said, "Hey, good noob," and just read it.
I didn't say that. I just
Well, that's the face your avatar's making.
Is it?
Avatars,
Is it? Does my avatar look like that? That get good?
You're
That
quite
get good
sassy.
face?
Quite sassy.
Sassy.
I'm still repping that Galleon up in this house. Okay, so
you guys
I'm
want
done
to
wrecking this.
roll to
Yeah.
shout outs?
Let's
Final
roll to
comments?
shout outs.
Damo, you got any shout outs for us?
Rabbit Hole Radio. My home away from home.
The Destiny
Cheater.
spin foil.
Yep.
And then Green, how about you?
We are starting Gunslinger, and I'm already confused.
Good. That
But-
means-
Oh, is that a Dark Tower thing?
It is. It's the book.
Is it the
club.
first?
It
It's
is.
the first?
one.
I should really catch up. Gotta go out and buy a Dark Tower this week
You really
because
should.
I just saw who's going to be in the movie and it
Mhm.
really interested me.
Oh, that
Matthew
trailer!
McConaughey?
Don't get me started on some of the visuals in that trailer.
Oh god, I
I
did
don't care.
see the belt loading trick that you were talking about.
You saw it.
Oh my
It's
god, it's
see
so nice.
that scene and then the scene where he's just like pouring them
Oh
into
my gosh.
the cylinder as it's moving. Those were the scenes that I was talking about.
That makes more
Those are the
sense.
ones. Those are the ones where I was like, "Wow, that is exactly what I saw in my head when I
Right,
was talking
right.
about the way he reloaded."
Yeah, no, I
So
agree.
all I
100%
had to see was Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba. I was like, I'm in. I don't care what the movie's about,
I'm not even a particularly huge McConaughey fan, but I think
Oh yeah,
brother. You've got to
I just
live.
like his.
LIVE.
He's got a good vocal
live.
line for it.
yeah, no, that's he's got. A lot of people were really nervous about his character right there, but
Why?
he's
Because-
playing like he's playing Stephen King's like most definitive single character.
So
Yeah.
Go and watch him in season 1 of True Detective. He's so good.
I just think there's a certain nature to the role that I think people were very concerned about. And it is like, it's not even just the biggest character in the Dark Tower series. It's the biggest character in, most of his books.
So is he
everything?
Roland?
No. He's the Man in Black.
Yeah. Randall Flagg.
Okay.
He's
Johnny Cash.
No Flag.
He's if he's not the villain in most Stephen King books, then he's in charge of whoever that villain is.
Okay,
He
he's
is
like the
worse
Nick
than the
Fury
devil.
of villains. I got
He's
it.
the worst. He's worse than the devil, is what he's described as.
And he's not. Well, never mind. Spoilers, but
Which, by the way, I have a question for you after show too, because there was a line in the trailer that I was like, that's not accurate, but I don't think so.
Blue, quit pooping on movies. Just be happy they're making movies about books.
We're not pooping. We've both gotten to the point, I think, where we're excited. Like, this is somewhat going to be a retelling, and the way they describe that will only make sense after you've read all the books.
Right.
So I'm not going to go into it, but that makes this make sense that they're telling it a different way.
Oh yeah, no. That totally, I don't have a problem with that, because the spoiler that he tweeted out last year with the horn made. I mean, that blew everyone's mind.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
Justin, shout outs.
Oh, wow. So many shout outs. First of all, before I do anything else, got a straight up shout out. State of California. Bungie. All the people who made this possible. I'm going for you, Ma. So I'm talking not redneck Ma, but yeah. So
I love that you had to distinguish that.
Yeah, I was going for my actual mother. No,
I was really confused. It's like, all right, Ryan getting a shout out here.
Yeah. Ryan always gets a shout out every single time. Redneck Ma, check him out. Ryan on the Ma. No. I just wanted to take a little brief moment here and actually shout out my usual co-hosts here, Blueker 86 and Green Eyed Music Lover, both of them amazing, and also Wind of the Stars, Mel, who couldn't be here with us tonight, but all of them conspired to let me go to LA and somehow represent us as a group. I kind of think this is some bad decision making on their part, but I'm super excited. I don't know if you can tell.
There's a reason you're going with Belle. She's going to take care of you.
Yeah. But I just wanted to say again, big thanks to Blue and Green, because they do a whole bunch of the work that makes this thing happen. And, I'm just continually in awe that they let me show up every week, especially to talk about things I know nothing about. And it just really speaks to something, poor judgment, or some sort of passing, like
our fondness of you,
misplaced affection for me. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I hope it keeps coming. Also, great big shout out to Damoel for joining us for the D&D chat. Couldn't be a D&D chat without Damoel telling me I'm dumb. And also, great big shout out to some of our recent guests, Bife, and all the fun shows we've had here lately. I mean, it's been great. And also Twitch affiliation. I don't even know. I'm just going to keep talking. I'm excited. Where do I put my hands? Where do I put my hands?
Well,
there's bits and chits and invites from Bungie. I don't know what's happening. It's a brave new world we live in, and I'm just going to try to function semi-functionally. Take it away, Damo.
I already did mine.
Okay, you do yours again so I don't look stupid.
I'm not going to do that, Dave.
All right. So the next topic, like we said at the intro, is going to be Titanfall. So please be sure to send us any thoughts or questions or opinions on that series to our email, or jump into the Discord and make sure to have a couple comments there so that we can catch them that way. But yeah, and like Justin kind of said, big thank you to Bungie and to Activision for inviting us out. And then also a huge shout out to Twitch for the affiliation. We actually also, I didn't really even think about this. I published the episode, well, it's not really an episode, but the stream that we did with the Dames of Destiny and the Safe Gamers a couple weekends ago, and it was called The Ladies of Light. And that actually pushed us over 100 episodes on Podbean. So we don't have, you'll probably notice this on Friday when we do the live stream. It's going to be episode 84, so that might be a little confusing. But we have different episodes, like different series running. So we actually have 100 episodes on Podbean. So that was an interesting thing for us to achieve. I was not expecting that today, and I was like, "Oh,
thank you to everyone."
Oh wow, we actually have you have listened to us for 100 episodes, and we really appreciate that.
By the way, I accidentally, after you did that show, I accidentally popped in the private show chat, and there was all this new stuff in there that I wasn't privy to. I was like, "What has happened?" I completely forgot that you were doing the show, the Dame show. I was like, what fresh hell is this?
Why are there snake people in here?
Uh-huh.
Well, let's run through the outro real quick, and then we'll stick around for a short after show. With that, we'll begin to wrap the chat up. Thank you again to those over on Twitch for coming to spend your evening with us. If you'd like to join us, please be sure to give us a follow over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. Links to all our other sites can also be found with our episode archives over on www.focusfirechat.com. Thank you again, Damoel, for jumping into the chat. We really appreciate having you, and we'll be sure to get those links for you up in our show notes for anyone who wants to continue chatting with you about tonight's topic. Please be sure to email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com with any feedback or questions for our team concerning the podcast, and let us know how we're doing by giving us some feedback on iTunes as well. Remember that we try to stream a recap of the month-long Extra Lore conversations in the first week of each month, but if we have any variations, we always make sure to let everyone know through our Twitter account at FocusFireChat. Also, be sure to check out our partner podcasts within the Guardian Radio Network over on theguardiansofdestiny.com. So, until next time, focus your fire and may your light shine bright.
Hey, Blue, I was just wondering, you may say no, but I've got to ask because you can't win the raffle if you don't buy a ticket. Can I have intro music tonight?
Can you have intro music tonight?
Yeah, like special intro music that I pick.
Why? This is making me really nervous.
Well, just before you say yes or no, do you just want to hear it?
Yeah, let's
that
hear
probably
it.
helps.
Yeah, probably helps the decision, yes.
Okay.
Since I've heard very few things that ominous.
Yeah.
Here you go. Yeah.
Oh, this is happening.
Will this work?
Now.
Gonna make it rain. Yeah. Yeah, you do.
No.
Ow!
Oh,
Okay, obviously that's not going to make the show, but
all right, can you cut it down to like 10 seconds?
I can cut it down to however long you want.
Okay.
Like I can cut it at the first California knows how to party.